your 6 years, you're mostly going to university. So as people do like the look around the universities, I just didn't really feel like what I wanted. I didn't really know. And then I saw a post on Facebook about an agency that helped people like going to the US. So I just signed up myself. I didn't even tell my parents. And I was like,
welcome here on Sandy Bay Media for this episode. I'm joined by Katinka from Felician University over in the US, who's originally from Holland. We're going to have a quick chat with her about her experience. Welcome, Katinka.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Did I get the name right?
Yeah, you did.
Fantastic. Well, look, before we start off, let's just get a bit of background on who you are and how you ended up in the US.
Sure. So I'm Katinka. I'm from the Netherlands. I played a lot of sports growing up. My parents kind of put me in everything to make sure that I had experience in all. And then I started playing soccer when I was about 8. Always played with the boys. That's like normal. So until you are like 16, because then they have to split up because it's like physically not fair enough to like have them both on the field. That's why they do it. And I just sticked with soccer. Like I kind of dropped the others. I dropped swimming, I dropped volleyball, and this one always stayed. I played for the guys, but also the women's team. So like 3 teams at the same time, as much soccer as possible. That's you gotta do as much as you can. And I was in high school, and I did the 6 years of high school. They split it up 4, 5, and 6 years. So after your 6 years, you're mostly going to university. So as people do like the look around the universities, I just didn't really feel like what I wanted. I didn't really know. And then I saw a post on Facebook about an agency that helped people like going to the US. So I just signed up myself. I didn't even tell my parents. And I was like, this is it. And they responded, like they got back to me and they were like, oh, we're excited. Like, let's talk. So then I had to point that I had to tell my parents because it was like an hour away. Their office was like, I need to get there.
Yeah.
So and they're like a bit like hesitant, like what's going on. But we went with the 3 of us and me and my parents, and we sat there and they explained like the opportunities there are in the US for soccer. And from that moment I knew it was like meant for me, kind of. It's not very common at all to go. I was the only person in high school to do this.
Yeah.
In my high school. So yeah, from that it started the whole process. It's like a year of work basically to actually get here with like making videos, getting recruited, but also like paperwork, visa, SAT tests, transcripts and stuff. And meanwhile, for me, I was personally recovering from an ACL surgery. So I had to push that through because I had to play again to have the footage for coaches to see what I could do. Yeah. So it was a lot, but I knew I really wanted that. So I worked for it. And that's how I got to my first school in South Dakota. And from there, everything after is in the States.
Oh, that's awesome to hear that. And it's like you were saying that it's a bit different from people in your hometown don't actually just aren't always going to the US. So it's quite unique to hear that.
Yeah, it's not common at all. When I went, the agency had about 50 people that they like helped so far. And I mean, I follow them now and you see weekly posts of people going. So it's starting to get big. But at the time I was there, there was not a person at the agency that had gone through the all 4 years yet. So they didn't have anybody that completed it yet, just because it was starting up. So it's definitely not common, but I'm really happy that I found out about it.
Awesome. And just speaking of the transition, like obviously coming from Holland to America, how was that? And especially the footballing side of things, how did you find it?
Yeah, it's first of all, they call it soccer here. We don't it's football. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, it's a whole culture change. The soccer wise, on and off the field. On the field, we grow up playing soccer a lot, and it's more like a technical like play. It's very much tactics in there. And when I got here, it's a physical game. It's like being the strongest athlete on the field. And if you're fast and if you're physical and you can do that for 90 minutes, somebody would have the craziest ball feet work, it's the athlete that wins at the end. So that was a bit of a change. They had to adjust to it. Different soccer, more like direct, I would say, like longer balls and just like, so yeah, I had to adjust to that. But it's a mix, because they're in every team I play for here, they had internationals and Americans. So like, I think it's quite interesting to have that combination and like use both kind of type of soccers together. So yeah, it definitely was a change, but I'm kind of used to it now. You know what to expect when you step on the field. Yeah, definitely. And the game is made for, like, they sub constantly. Like, you have that. We can only do like 3 subs a game. So it's definitely made for that. And it's, you have to know that's not weird if you get taken out for like 10 minutes. It's not that you did a bad job. It's just because the game is that intense here that you need a break, and you to give you some time and get somebody else in, and then you change back. So yeah, it's definitely a different game.
No, it's awesome to hear that. And obviously, just that, yeah, as you said, it's a little bit more direct. It's just got its own unique qualities of it.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Yeah, I don't know. I also find that it's interesting is that when you come here, like, I was my first school, and we were watching, me and a Spanish girl from Spain, we were watching a Barcelona game, I think it was. Yep. Well, Barcelona against, I don't know, we're watching on screen, and some Americans were just popped by looking at the screen, and they would just have no idea who certain players were on the field. Like Messi, sure, they will know, but beside that, they had no clue of any players. And like, it's so weird. Like, you play that, they played the same sport that we did for the same amount of time, and they don't know the players that we like grow up to looking at. So it was kind of weird. That's, yeah.
It's that cultural shift, as we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's just getting used to it, but it happens. And speaking of cultural shift, what was something else you sort of, how was the things outside of football adjusting to American life and the education over there?
It is America, like, overall, it's, it's not like, for people always ask me, oh, do you like it? Would you want to live here? So for school, I really love it. The fact that they have so much going into sports, and that they make time for you to play it and combine it, like, that's amazing. Besides that, I don't know if the country, like, is very fast. Everything is focused on making money and going fast and doing what you need. Like, it's very, where Europe, where we go relax, we have some brave occasion, we go out with friends. It's way, so getting here, it's like hardworking country. It's like what you see outside. And yeah, I mean, that's
it's a different can of worms from coming from Europe, especially somewhere in Holland. It's a very different.
And school-wise, I would say that, I mean, my schools are like about 3,000 people, so it's not that big, and they're like smaller. But for us, we go to university, it's like big, and they don't really, you get the material, you study, and you get a test, and you pass or not. I feel here you're in a smaller classrooms, like 15 people. It's more like high school, where they take attendance, and you have to do homework, and you have to, it's like general education classes, which is basically the classes that I took in high school before I made my decision on like what I was going to major in. It's very different. So I kind of feel like being in high school, to be honest. Now I know if you have a higher up school, like, the education is, of course, like, more difficult. my major is not the most difficult in like study wise. So I understand that, but overall, I get more of like a high school kind of vibe, to be honest, rather than university. But with a lot of emphasis on soccer. So that's a
That's
good.
amazing. The football's covered.
Yeah, right.
That's the important part.
Yeah, that's what I say, but I can't say that to my parents.
Well, look, thank you for that. And speaking about your background in the game so far, and also the transition over to Europe.